Aaron Donald, hanging him up. He's retiring, which I think sparks an interesting conversation. Do you view him as the best defensive player of this century? This time I was going to say TJ Watt. Watch.
Well, he's on the short list. This century's a tough question. There's definitely a lot of names that I would go to. Ray Lewis is definitely the first one. It's hard to surpass Ray. Ray's a GOAT. Ed Reed, in terms of playmaking. Troy Polamalu, two of the greatest safeties in NFL history.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say that between him and JJ, that's a real conversation, I think, on who would you rather have. And the reason would be it's, JJ's peak is really hard to match, but it's like Donald's peak is also immaculate, and also he has a little bit more of the longevity, right? After JJ had his peak, was just injured for a little bit. And then I think you have to put TJ Watt up there. Aaron Donald is one of 3 players to win 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. Lawrence Taylor, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald. T.J. Watt should be in that short mix.
Okay.
And again, I do think T.J. is one of the greatest players of the 21st century. All of you detractors and Myles Garrett fanboys and people I do podcasts with want to take away from T.J. Watt, but he's exceptional.
No.
He's
I love
man.
T.J. I love T.J. Chill.
Yeah, but you always like throwing it out there like I'm overhyping the guy. T.J. is one of the greatest defensive
No,
players
I just
ever.
know that you're going to go on like an 8-minute monologue. It's fine, bro. It's like what
Yeah.
I do for Jokic. You got your guys. There's nothing wrong
it's my
with
guy,
it.
man. I do think I think you can put Aaron Donald up with any of their guys. And if we want to expand this conversation to Carson, not only is he one of the greatest players of this century, not only is he one of the greatest players ever, I mean, he's one of the greatest defensive tackles ever. There's only...
One of the greatest. He's got to be the GOAT DT. Don't give me Merlin Olsen.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, there's 6 guys that I think you have to put up there with Donald.
Okay.
Mean Joe Green, Bob Lilly, Warren Sapp, John Randall, Merlin Olsen, and Randy White. I don't think you can call Aaron Donald unequivocally the greatest defensive tackle ever. I think you could argue that he is, but all of those guys
didn't even mention Alan Page. He didn't even mention league MVP Alan Page.
I wouldn't put Alan Page up there with him. I think guys have bigger resumes. Alan Page is a GOAT. I would probably argue Mean Joe. I'd probably argue Bob Lilly. I'd probably argue Randy White. But I can put him over Sapp, John Randall, and Merlin Olsen. I would have Aaron Donald as my 4th greatest defensive tackle ever.
Whoa! Has there ever been a better pass rusher from the interior than Aaron Donald?
John Randall holds a candle to him in that regard, and I think they're both interesting too.
Here
John Randall's
with the holding the candle.
Randall's an interesting case because Randall, very similar to Aaron Donald, was undersized, and I don't know, man. Randall's got that. Randall was nuts. Randall was crazy. Yeah. Like, John Randall was actually crazy. That dude was insane. When we're talking about just pass rushers, I think Randall's up there. I think Donald is. That combination of size, speed, hands, in his peak, man, that 3 to 4 year peak, I think you could argue is the greatest by any defensive tackle ever. Consistently getting double teamed, consistently getting pressure regardless of the situation, just drawing so much attention. Well, on the flip side of this, I mean, how many players are you taking over Donald this century, Carson? I'm probably taking 3, and that would be Lewis and both of the Watts.
Good question. It's tough to compare him to Ray.
It's position, yeah, man.
Because it's so different. Man, I think he's got to be top 3. I don't know. The guy just wrecked games, dude. Just wrecked games. Like a combination of speed and power and technique from the interior.
Not to cut you off, I think Chris Jones is entering these conversations.
But he's not as good as Peak Donald. I don't think any of the other DTs are as good as Peak Donald. Chris Jones is amazing, bro. He's amazing. Aaron Donald's just like an unprecedented force in the interior. Just completely destroyed games. And I think when you're talking about him against these other great DTs, he's kind of the exception. Like, generally, when people talk about the great defensive linemen ever, they think about edges. All the way back to Deacon Jones. You think about the dudes. If it's Reggie White, if it's Bruce Smith, all the great players of today who are going to generate these monstrous sack numbers. And Aaron Donald is like the one where he is going to do so many monstrous things that don't show up on the stat sheet, be better than everybody else just at the pressure that he generates from the interior, the run stuffing, and then also get home at a level that you just don't see. The guy had a 20 sack season from the interior.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we're talking peak, maybe I take JJ. What JJ did when he was healthy, like 6 healthy seasons, and he was first team All-Pro every year except for his rookie year. He's leading the league in sacks 3 of those years, putting up 20 sack seasons routinely, winning DPOY, again, the majority of the time when he's healthy. Like, that is just insane. But Donald definitely had the better overall career because he was healthier for longer. So that's my top 3 of this century. It's Ray Lewis, it's JJ, just because the peak is so unfathomable. Like, GOAT level peak, truly. And Aaron Donald. And I think he is the best defensive tackle ever. And I can't sit here and say that it's like the NBA where I legitimately go back and watch all of these dudes from every era with that level of detail. But I think the accomplishments, when you're just thinking about stacking first-team All-Pro seasons, stacking DPOYs, stacking sack numbers per season, like he's number 1 across the board compared to the other DTs.
Well, that's why I would give credence to some of those guys. I mean, Randy White has a Super Bowl MVP. I believe was 8 times first-team All-Pro.
Aaron Donald probably deserved Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, maybe you could argue it. Has a 16-sack season. Bob Lilly is one of the GOATs. I don't want to disrespect all the old-timers, man.
I'm not
they
trying
deserve
to disrespect
their credit.
Anybody. They deserve their credit. But Aaron Donald is one of one.
True. That dude's... The speed and strength combination that's the one edge I would give Donald over all of those guys. Donald is the fastest defensive tackle with the best hands that I've ever seen. And it is a different game in terms of physicality. Like, I mean, dude, they're going to war in them trenches. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot more civil in today's game. And but Donald still, dude,
Except for Christian Wilkins, am I right? Always grabbing my QB's balls.
Bro, I saw that video after we did the show. That's so disturbing. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Look, bro, if a dude is fondling my balls in the game, we're fighting, bro. I'm scrapping. Like, we're going to war, bro. We're going to war.
Josh just took that shit out on the field. He just averages 300 yards and 4 touchdowns a game against the Dolphins.
I remember, dude, there was this really this is a gross tangent. There was this one center for the Steelers, man. I remember his name escapes me right now. He was not very good, dude. There was this one game where I remember, bro, he did some of that Christian Wilkins stuff, and he started digging up a dude's ass one game, man. Like, he was getting up in there, bro, and it was gross.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, man.
Is that the note we're going to end on?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
You know that Mean Joe Green's name is Charles?
No way.
His name is Charles Edward Green. There is not Joe anywhere in his name.
Did you know that Kobe White's real name is Alec?
Did you know that Victor Oladipo's real name is Kehinde Babatunde?
I actually did know that one.
All right. Did you know that Ray Allen's real name is Walter?
Walter?
Yeah.
Did you know that Steph Curry's real name is Wardell?
Yeah, I did actually know that.